The Minnesota Wild have surprised a lot of people going toe-to-toe with the Vegas Golden Knights. Seth Toupal of Locked On Wild is here to discuss how they've gotten it done and what it'll take to win the series. We've got all that and more on today's Locked On NHL podcast.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Gil Martin here, and welcome everybody to the Monday edition of the Locked On NHL podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On NHL your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. This episode has been brought to you by Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox. No console needed. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. It is my pleasure to welcome back to the show a man who needs no introduction to Locked On NHL fans, Seth Toupal of Locked On Wild. And Seth, it's a heck of a series going on right now. What have the Wild been able to do to go toe-to-toe with Vegas so far?
Well, thanks for having me, Gil. I think the thing that has impressed me most about this Minnesota Wild team going up against Vegas is we have seen over the last couple of postseasons the Wild get out to a 2-1 lead. They don't really know how to handle it. And in the series against the Stars a couple years ago, seemed like frustration kind of started to boil over as the series unfolded. Series against the Blues, it was kind of a similar thing. This Minnesota Wild team is not intimidated by Vegas whatsoever. Like they came in as the 7 seed, but I think everybody knew that them being fully healthy, people threw around that this isn't a traditional wild card team with what they did earlier in the year. They have not been intimidated by Vegas whatsoever, and they have found a way to neutralize, I think, the single biggest strength of this Vegas team is their ability to get to the net. And through the first 3 games of the series, the Golden Knights had just 8 high danger shot attempts. I'm talking shot attempts, not shots on goal. 8 attempts through the first 3 games of the series. And for the team that led the league in high danger shots on goal for the entire season, taking that away from them has turned them into a perimeter heavy team. And your odds of making saves in those situations are just so much better, whether it be your goalie or your defense blocking shots. Now, in Game 4, Vegas did a much better job of crashing the net and getting shots in close. So you figured they would adjust being down 2-1 in the series. But I think the fact that the Wild have just been right in the series the whole time has been the most impressive part for me. They have given Vegas everything they can handle. And, it is every game has come down to a couple of opportunities. If the Wild find a way to capitalize on them, they probably have a 3-1 lead. If not, if they capitalize on a couple different opportunities in Game 4 or in Game 1, they have had the opportunity to win all 4 of these games so far. And in 2 of the games, the bounces have gone their way. In the other 2 games, not as much.
How big of a concern after Game 4 is the PK right now?
It's interesting because Vegas obviously has a lethal power play, and we have seen the Wild do a pretty good job on the penalty kill throughout this series. But I like to equate it to the 90% rule. I feel like this penalty kill is 90% good, but the reason they're giving up the goals is because of that last 10%. You saw in Game 4, Zeev Boyum gets called for a double minor for high sticking. The Wild kill off 3 minutes and 52 seconds of that 4 minutes, but Vegas scores in the last 8 seconds. So they're about 90 to 95% good at doing what they need to do. it just shows you got to be at 100%. If you are going to kill off a penalty, you got to kill off the whole thing. They had good performances throughout the series early on. It's just you just got to sometimes tip your cap to a team for making good plays.
You talked about the importance of health. How have the returning players impacted the Wild's performance so far?
Oh, they've had a massive, massive impact. And for as much as we expect Kirill Kaprizov to do his thing, and he's got 4 goals and 4 assists through the first 4 games of this series. I think the player that has had the bigger impact is Gil Martin, because that has allowed the Minnesota Wild to feel okay going toe-to-toe with that Vegas top line without having to say, well, we gotta have like a checking line, a defensive line, try to neutralize them. They've just been able to go top line versus top line because Gil Martin has had such an impact in holding Jack Eichel to 1 assist through the first 4 games. That is another one of the big storylines of this series is the Wild didn't have Gil Martin against Dallas. He was trying to come back from a broken leg. He just could not get back, and when he tried to, he played 19 seconds, and that was it. Having him fully healthy for this series has been huge because he can muck it up in front. He hasn't had a ton in the way of points yet in this series, but he's had an impact in every single game. So you get Kaprizov back doing his thing. You have Ek back, and this team is they are playing very well, but they're also confident that in these final 3 games they can find a way to get 2 of them.
Talk to me about the goaltending, Filip Gustavsson. I mean, even in the last game, giving up 4 goals, but 46 shots. So he didn't seem to be having a bad game even when they lost.
Yeah, he gave up 4 goals, and he still finished with almost 1.5 goals saved above expected, which was just unbelievable. But Gus has been so good throughout the course of this series. He's made all of the saves you expect, and he's made so many saves that you don't. Like there have been a couple of plays where he just managed to get even like the tip of his stick blade on a puck to stop it from going in. And that was one of the big keys in this series is that he was going to have to outduel Adin Hill, and he has done that. He's done that. He's been huge. He was huge in the 2 wins. He was integral in keeping the game as close as it was in Game 4. And I know Vegas got the power play goal right at the end of the game in Game 1, but that was a 3-2 game all the way up until the latter stages because of the saves that Gustavsson was making, and he's been sensational all series. And this is why it's important, I think, to look beyond the box score numbers, because he did give up the 4 goals, but Vegas could easily have had 7 or 8. With anybody else in that.
So it's a best of 3 series now. What are the keys for the Wild if they want to win this one?
Wild just have to continue to attack offensively. I think they need to find a way to continue to get to the net. When they have been able to get to Adin Hill and make him move, they have had success. If you try to stop a goalie that is anchored in to his spot and somebody who is as technically sound as Hill is, you're not going to have an easy time. So they got to get him moving around the net. That Jared Spurgeon wraparound goal was a good example of what happens because they got Hill to one side and they were able to quickly get to the other side of the net. He had no chance to defend against a shot like that. So they got to get it in close. They have got to continue to push. And I love what we heard from Marcus Foligno after Game 4, because I know there's frustration about the no calls that have gone on throughout this series. I will say, though, happening in every series. It's not just the refs are not out to get the Minnesota Wild. It's happening in every series. But I love the fact that Marcus Foligno said after the game, he was specifically asked about the no calls, and he said, we can't go down that road. He said, we can't worry about that kind of stuff because the moment you start to try to go toe-to-toe with the refs, you lose. And that is something that this Minnesota Wild team has learned from. in that series against Dallas, is they're not trying to pick fights with the referees. There are calls that go against both teams. The Wild are simply trying to move on to the next play. And I love the chances with how confident they sounded that they're right in it. It just comes down to a play here, a play there. If they keep playing like that, they got a great chance to win this series.
All right. Well, Seth, why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners where they could find the podcast and where they could find you on social media?
Make sure to follow along with Locked On Wild. Just type that in on your favorite social platforms. You'll find us, as well as on YouTube. We'll have you fully ready to go for another late, albeit earlier, another late game 5, 8:30 Central Time start, which that's an acceptable start time. So we'll have you fully ready to go for game 5, and we'll have you covered throughout the rest of the series as well.
All right, Seth, thanks so much.
My pleasure.
Today's episode is brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days. Whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost, they're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. That's wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more.